Hi guys, so we have this fantastic news that Pfizer have developed a vaccine that is 90% effective. This is fantastic news, and it means that we're able to start moving out of this phase in the pandemic. Now, just to give you a bit of stats on this, the UK government is ready to purchase 40 million doses, while the European Union is ready to purchase 300 million doses. Now, this sounds very positive. I think we're, of course, moving in the right direction. Matt Hancock, the health secretary, was interviewed by LBC this morning. He was uncharacteristically neutral on this, which was a little bit concerning for me. So I started to do a little bit of digging, and it seems that, yes, this vaccine is a huge step forward, but there are a number of issues that need to be looked at, unfortunately. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. This is not really bad news, but these are issues that need to be dealt with before we can have this vaccine. And I think it's very important that people understand that this is not a silver bullet. It's not going to resolve all our problems. And anyone talking about how once we have this vaccine manufactured, people will be able to just return to work, return to normal, I don't think they understand exactly what the situation is. So I leave a link to this information in the description of this video, of course. But there are a number of issues. So we don't know how long this vaccine will be effective for. It could be effective for a number of months. It could be effective for a year. We don't know. So the problem is we need to understand how long it's going to be effective for. Because if we know that we need to continue a program and we need to purchase more and more vaccines. Now, the trials carried out by Pfizer involve 44,000 volunteers from different parts of the world, with Brazil, Argentina, South Africa, Germany, the United States, and Turkey. But these trials have not yet completed. So we need to wait until we have the final results there. An issue, and I think this is perhaps a very serious issue with this vaccine, is that it needs to be stored at temperatures between minus 70 and minus 80 degrees Celsius before it's actually administered. Now, generally with a vaccine, it's rolled out to general practitioners, your family doctor, and then the family doctor will administer the vaccine. This will not be the case with this particular vaccine, because generally, doctors don't have access to that type of equipment to maintain the vaccine. So I think it's interesting that the UK government is relying on the military to actually deliver this vaccine, because they would have the resources available to have this type of equipment. So when you start to see the vaccine being rolled out, it's going to be not in the traditional measure, in the traditional way, I should say. Now, it's also important to remember that it seems that 2 doses are required per person, not 1 single dose. So when Matt Hancock was talking about on LBC this morning, he said about how, yes, we have 10 million doses ready for before the end of the year. Remember, this is very similar to the type of language that he has used when he talked about tests. When he says doses, he's not talking about people. It's very important, and I wish the journalists would do this. They would ask how many people are going to be vaccinated, not how many doses do we have to vaccinate people. Because if every person needs at least 2 doses, or probably 2 doses, that means that you're not going to immunize 10 million people, but you're going to immunize 5 million people. And that's a big game changer. The same with the European Union. They have 300 million doses on order. That's not 300 million people. That's about half. Now, of course, not every dose will be, if you purchase 300 million doses, not every dose will be affected. Some may be damaged in transportation, or when they're being administered, there's a problem with the administration of that, and it needs to be thrown away. So there will also be wastage that should be taken into account. So the numbers of people need to be presented by politicians, not just the number of vaccines. Now, because this isn't, we don't know how long the immunity will last with this vaccine, I think it's very important that we continue to maintain the measures that we've put in place so far. For example, social distancing, wearing masks. This vaccine will be presented, I fear, will be presented by politicians as a silver bullet. Now we have it, now we can go back to normal. Because their objective is just to get businesses back up and running. Get people back into work, get people back into city centres, buying sandwiches or whatever. They want to return to normal for economic reasons. But we won't be able to do that. And I've said this before on this channel. Even if we have a vaccine, we're not going back to the way things were before. Many businesses have adapted to this new normal, and they're not going to go back to the way things were before. For them, it's economically beneficial to maintain this way of working. So once again, we have to welcome this vaccine. It's a massive step forward. There are some more steps to take, of course, and governments are probably fighting over each other to get access to these vaccines. So I hope that everyone who needs one will get one. But I think it's important to remember that there are some issues that need to be resolved. This will not be a silver bullet. Remember, anyone who is telling you it is needs to be challenged. I'll leave a link to all this information in the description of this video. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.